How's it going, everybody? Welcome back into another video, and today is another episode of Movie Drafts, episode number 3. Did I ever think that this series would blow up as much as it has? No. Thank you all for the support on the first 2 episodes. Has been pretty awesome. We love watch time. I mean, that's just watch time's the greatest stat in the world. But we're back, episode 3. As promised, every Tuesday we're doing this. It's happening. Back with my co-host Chris. Chris, how you doing?
Doing great. Extremely excited to talk about this category. It's going to be a hard one though because of how much there is. It's massive, but I'm excited to dive into this. Thank you for having me on again as well.
Of course, man, that's what you're here for, is to be the guy that wins every week.
Let's keep the streak going.
Yeah, hopefully not. And then we have our 2 guests for today. Very excited to have them both on. We have SASHA. How are you doing today?
I am good, Jack. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
And of course, my man, finally on the channel. We've been hyping it. We've been talking it. He's finally here. JAREN, how you doing, man?
Dude, I'm so pumped to be here. This is long overdue. Honestly, this draft series has been my favorite thing to watch. Like, that's no joke, just because I'm on the show now. It's been my favorite thing to watch since you started. I've never done one of these before, and I'm completely lost. I have a draft board, but I don't know where it's going to take me when it comes to my pick. But I'm excited to get into it. Thank you for having me.
But that is the beautiful thing about the draft, is you never quite know what's going to happen, and you got to figure it out as you go, just like life. But of course, as always, I will leave the links to all of their stuff down below. Make sure you go subscribe to all of them. They're all fantastic human beings. That's why I asked them all to be on Movie Drafts episode 3. But today is an exciting one. The Oscars, T-minus less than 2 weeks from the big night. I am extremely excited. It's going to be awesome. So for the next 2 weeks, they are themes. We're doing Oscar themes for the next 2 weeks. And today is a very exciting one that I am not as confident in as I was the first 2. We're doing Best Picture winners. That's what we're doing. Every single Best Picture winner is in the pool. We will be doing a standard draft. This is like episode 1. Straightforward. We're picking the movies, no subcategories. That's it. And we're doing Best Picture. So I'm going to just go over the rules for everyone if they are new. Basically what this is, I got to pull it up, bring it up. 5-round snake draft. If you guys know snake drafts, like in fantasy football, things like that, we picked the order at random right before the draft began, right before we started recording. Hand on a Bible, not rigged, nothing like that. It'll seem rigged with the position that Chris has, but it's not, I promise. And then the category is pre-selected by myself and Chris ahead of time. We give it to the guests ahead of time as well. So everyone has the equal advantage. And I make the graphic, the now infamous graphic. And whoever wins the poll on Twitter wins the draft. Chris is 2-0. I am 0-2. SASHA and JAREN are 0-0. And we're doing Best Picture winners today. And the last rule that I always bring up last, just so that we can really clarify it, there is a veto. And basically what it is if you feel like a film or something does not count, you need a unanimous veto from all 3 other players to get that selection thrown out. Now, this week, that won't go into effect because we have a strict pool, but in weeks past, things like that, like my very controversial antagonist of time in Inception, a veto could be in place, but that is not happening today. But I think that's it. Draft order. I have been given the very blessing and a curse of having the number 1 overall pick. JAREN is at number 2. Chris is at number 3, and SASHA has the wraparound at number 4. I promise you guys, Chris is not picking the draft order. I am. I would have given myself 3 or 4. But that's all we're going to do. So I've talked enough, too much of an intro. I know someone in the comments like about a year ago said, hey, your intro is way too long. Okay, I hear you. I got the first pick, so let's get into it. This is difficult because I have a few that I was thinking about. And I was hoping I would get, at least number 2, maybe number 3, so I could see what went first and second. And then hopefully my pick, it would be more solidified, but it's not. I got to pick, and I got to go with the one that I have the number 1 next to when I rated my top 10, and I got to go with The Godfather Part 2. I mean, this film is an epic. It was Endgame before Endgame in runtime. Let me clarify, in runtime. You've got Al Pacino giving, I would say, probably career best performance, maybe. De Niro gives it a stupendous performance as well. I love going back and forth in time, seeing the rise of Vito Corleone and seeing the continual rise of Michael Corleone, The Kiss of Death. It's just a brilliant movie. I've seen it twice in the last year, and I love every single thing about it. So The Godfather Part 2 is off the board. Whoever wants to start may start with 1-1, The Godfather Part 2.
So honestly, I think that is relieving for me that you picked that, because I didn't want to have the burden of picking the Godfather movies. I've seen the first two and I think they're fantastic. I think that's definitely going to help you. But no, literally, like I was worried that I was going to have to pick them, but I feel a little better now. I don't know if that makes sense. I think that it will benefit you in the poll from that terms, but like I honestly just wanted it off of my pool just because I was like, I just can't do it. I can't do it. I don't know if that makes any sense. But what do you think, Jaren?
I was actually hoping people forgot about it. If you heard by my vocal reaction, I was expected to pick it like maybe I didn't think it'd go like in the first round, but I thought maybe eventually I'd be able to get back around to it. But I've never even seen the movie. I haven't seen any of the Godfather movies. It's just I've heard that that's like one of the greatest sequels of all time. So I was like, I'll just put it out there. Hopefully I can pick it because it should do you pretty well in the polls, I would imagine.
Sasha, what do you think?
Yeah, that was, I feel the opposite of Chris. That was my number one pick for sure. I knew it was going to go in the first round. So I knew I benefit from the wraparound, but I knew that was going to be in the top couple. I, like Jaren, have never seen it all the way through, but I've seen like bits and parts to know like that's one of the most well-regarded Best Picture winners of all time. So like, that was a good one. It was a good one.
I feel good about that one. All right, Jaren, you are at number 2 with your audible gasp that The Godfather 2 went. What are you going to take with your number 1 overall pick?
You know what? I guess this is going to be 2 picks of sequels because I don't know. I have a gut feeling that this one is going to do me well. I'm going to go with Lord of the Rings: Return of the King.
No.
I'm not even like a huge fan of this movie, but I know obviously you think of big fandoms, you think Star Wars, Marvel, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings. Hopefully this does me well.
I think that's a great pick because I believe that is it's not a pity pick because it is deserved. That Oscar is deserved, but it's kind of the Oscars saying, hey, we kind of screwed up with the first 2. They also should have gotten a lot of recognition. So we're going to give it to this one because 1, it does deserve it. But at the same time, the franchise is incredible. I love that pick. It was on my board. I did not think I would get it, but it just was there. But Chris, you had a very audible reaction there. What do you think about that pick?
I thought everyone was going to forget about that for some reason. I literally I thought that was a lock to be my next pick, and I'm upset now, obviously. But that's definitely going to win you over. That's like people love that movie, and that's a lot of people's number 1 Best Picture winner ever. I'm not like a massive Lord of the Rings fan. I've seen them all once or twice in my life, but I was definitely eyeing it. So well done, Jaren. That will get you a lot of Twitter votes probably.
Appreciate you.
You're gonna get friend and actual competitor on Movie Drax, Trevor from Film Geeks. You're gonna get his vote.
Yeah.
I know for a fact you will get his vote for that.
You probably will.
Shout out to Trevor.
Yeah, but Sasha, what do you think about that pick?
So I'm actually happy that Jaren took this because this was one of the ones I was thinking. I was like, I'm going to be so dishonest and pick this for the Twitter poll but I've never even seen it. And so I didn't really want to be like, my first movie drafts, I didn't want to pick a movie I'd never seen necessarily unless it was like top of the top. And I madly respect a lot of the Lord of the Rings fans out there, but I've never really gone into it. So I think it's a great pick, especially for the poll.
Is it worse to pander a pick of a film that you've never seen or pander a pick of a movie that you don't like? Chris,
I don't
the
like
marriage story.
Chris, I'll ask you that question. What is worse? What is worse?
I think it's honest. What I did is pretty unforgivable, but I'm proud of it because it got me the win. So I don't care.
It's like I said, until the day that this series dies, I will have to mention that at least once. And there it was. That was the one. I'm done now. Chris, you are up. What are you taking?
We've been in like the olden days, it feels like. So I'm going with the most recent Best Picture winner in Parasite.
Oh.
Yeah, Parasite. What a movie.
I knew it was
Bong
coming.
Joon-ho. Many claim it to be a masterpiece. I think it's very close to a masterpiece. It's such a great movie. And it's one that you can rewatch, surprisingly. And it's the first like foreign film to ever win Best Picture. All around, just I love the twist in this movie. Just the way that it changes direction. It's brilliantly written, and I love the way that it ends too. So all around, it's almost a perfect movie. Had to pick Parasite. Top
Great.
10 from that year is like probably my number 6.
Great pick. That was on my board. I assumed I probably wasn't going to get it either. I thought it was going to go late first round, early second round. I think that's a great pick. Sasha, what do you think about Parasite?
So I think this is a very strong pick, especially for Twitter. People love this movie. This is a movie, I have the unpopular opinion, maybe. I was not a fan watching it. It drug on for me. And especially seeing Bong Joon-ho's Memories of Murder, I just think that was a better film. But the analysis of Parasite has given me a renewed appreciation for it. So Chris, great pick.
Jaren, how you
It's
feeling?
funny you mentioned Memories of Murder. That's like a very entertaining movie as opposed
It's
to
very good.
Yeah, it's like they're very different but both very well done.
I was going to say, yeah, I think Memories of Murder is actually better too, but that is a great pick. It was number 2 on my draft board. I will say Parasite, like technically speaking, it is probably perfect. It's the movie that introduced me to foreign language films and got me to watch Memories of Murder afterwards. Bong Joon-ho, just a legend. Yeah, that's definitely going to do you well in the Twitter poll as well. Great pick.
That's a great
Thank you,
pick.
thank
All
you.
right. Sasha, you are up. You have the wraparound. You got lucky and got the 4th and 5th overall picks. So what are you taking at number 4?
This, I will admit, this is a little difficult just for it being wraparound the first time I've played this, because I had what I thought I was going to do if Godfather Part 2 got taken. But now with the wraparound, I'm wondering if that's still the wise choice. So with that all being said, I think the first pick I'm going to take is Casablanca, just because it's a classic, great lines. Here's to looking at you, kid. Just an incredibly symbolic and beautiful film, and it stood the test of time. So that's got to be my first pick.
Great pick. Also on my draft board. That's just a great pick. I mean, the performances, the script, everything about it is just really good. Chris, I know you quote that movie a lot. You really like that movie. How do you feel about that pick?
Big fan of that pick. I was going to try and snag that one in a later round, so it's gone. It's sad, but life goes on. We adapt. That was one of the most quotable movies of all time, and just one of the great classic black and white movies that I think of when I think of movies. Like the great movie ride at Disney, rest in peace to that ride, one of my favorites. Had a Casablanca section. I always loved riding through there. It's very just atmospheric and classic, so very well done with that pick.
Jaren, what do you think?
It actually wasn't on my draft board. I know a lot of people like the movie. I think I saw it like a long time ago, but I don't remember it enough to have too much confidence in picking. So I'm glad it's off the board now, but I'm sure that'll do you well. I know that's a highly beloved movie.
Yeah, it's a great pick. And Sasha, you have the wraparound. So you get the next pick. What are you going to take?
Okay, so I think with this one, I think I'm going to go with the original Godfather. I know it will not compete as much with Part 2, but I just, now that it's out there, I've got to take it. I've got to take it. Plus, you know, that line, "You come to me on the day of my daughter's wedding," like that's iconic. And the Zootopia scene, like, I don't know if you guys have seen that, but classic. So have to pick it, have to go with that.
I saw Zootopia for the first time probably a month ago. And when I saw that scene, I lost it. I was like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen in a Disney movie. I'm gonna make you an offer you can't refuse. I mean, it's just I love this pick. This was high. It was literally, my draft board was Godfather Part 2 1. The Godfather was at number 2. I mean, it's absolutely brilliant film. They both go hand in hand so well. I prefer The Godfather Part 2 barely. I think the first one is just as good, and I grew more of an appreciation for it on rewatch. The first time I didn't really understand what was going on in the story, so I was like, it's good, but I was kind of confused. The second time rewatching, I was able to pick up the story. I appreciated it more. Love that pick. Jaren, I'm going to start with you. What do you think of The Godfather going number 5?
Again, I haven't seen it, so I can't comment on the quality of the movie. Obviously, I know the "I'm gonna make an offer you can't refuse" thing because that's just iconic. But yeah, I can imagine that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Chris, what do you think?
Arguably the most iconic movie of all time. So, I mean, I figured it would go pretty early. Yeah, it's great. I actually prefer the first one right now, but it's been years since I've seen him. So, like, I do think the second one could surpass it because I know that it has the whole De Niro story, which I'm a big De Niro guy. So I think that I'm gonna rewatch those this year, honestly. But yeah, great pick. I'm surprised it technically was the first pick of the second round, right?
Yeah.
So it didn't go in the first round, but
Wow.
very close to it.
That's taking the wraparound by the horns and making
Yeah.
two fantastic picks to start off the draft. Chris, you have the next pick. What are you gonna take?
So I'm a little nervous with this pick because I don't have a while till I pick after this. But I don't care if this is a personal, like if it's a personal thing versus a Twitter thing. I don't care. This is one of my favorite movies of all time, and I'm just gonna pick it. The Departed. The Departed. I absolutely love that movie. It's my favorite Scorsese movie. I've seen all of the pretty much big ones, and it's still my favorite. Just the plot twist in this movie. DiCaprio. De Niro's fresh in my mind from The Godfather 2, but just I love Leo in this movie and Jack Nicholson. And it's funny that Wahlberg got the Oscar nomination and no one else did. It's just like he's still really good.
Yeah.
But still, like they all should have been nominated for supporting. 4 people in one category. Either way, I think this is a dang good movie. I know it kind of took influence from some movie called Infernal Affairs, which I haven't seen, but still, it's my favorite Scorsese. I had to pick it. Had to. I don't care what Twitter thinks. I had to take it.
This is the first instance tonight, and there will be many where I'm mad at Chris. So so my draft board was Godfather Part 2 1, Godfather 3, The Departed, or no, Godfather 2, The Departed 3. So I'm mad, but that's okay. I think I'm mad because it's a fantastic pick. I think it's one of the best Scorsese. I still like The Wolf of Wall Street more, but not by much. The performance is fantastic. The script is just so unpredictable, and where it goes is just fantastic. I love that pick. Jaren, I'll start with you. What do you think about The Departed?
I mean, it's freaking amazing, man. The Departed is awesome. It's got so many, like you said, it's got so many great performances. It's hard to know that only one of them got nominated. It's in my top 3 Scorsese. It's not number 1, but it's up there. Yeah, that'll definitely do you good. I'm kind of jealous because that was my next pick on my draft.
Sasha, what do you think?
Not.
I think that's a great pick. I knew that one of you guys was going to take that one, so I didn't even like bother putting it on my board because I just knew. I was like, DiCaprio, Wahlberg. Isn't Matt Damon in that movie too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, someone's going to steal it. So
Stacked.
great pick. Great pick.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I hate to.
I feel like this happens every time I make my second pick. Everyone's like, oh.
I just hate to say this because it's like he's doing it right for Twitter because they're more recent movies. That's all I'm gonna say. Jaren, you are up. Break my heart, break my little heart a little bit more. What are you taking?
I'm wondering who was going to pick this next, but I'm going to go with Forrest Gump.
That was all high on my board, man.
Yeah. Say the quote, Chris, because you always say it.
I'm on the pressure's on now. Let me take a sip of water. From that day on, if I was going somewhere, I was running.
Enough said. Enough said. That's all I got to say about it. That's my pick. There we go.
Absolutely fantastic from Chris. I mean, it's uncanny how great it is. I mean, that's a great pick. I think that's going to hit a lot of Twitter folks' hearts, but I think it's just a good pick. I think it's just iconic performance from Tom Hanks. Just everything about it is fantastic. Sasha, we'll start with you. What do you think about that pick?
Oh, that one hurts me a little bit, I gotta say. Like that was up there for me because it was like seen it, loved it, rewatched it a million times. So
exactly.
Geez, like for that to be taken, good on you. Good on you.
And Chris,
very well done.
I know you love it. Yeah, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, it's probably, I think it's in like my top 25 favorite movies of all time. But aside from like just, I have the poster over there. It's actually on the ground. It used to hang up, but it's just one of those movies that I feel like everyone has seen. And if it's on TV, if you have cable, it would just be on growing up on like ABC Family, technically, whatever it's called now. It would just always be on. You'd have it on in the background. But can we talk about that year? Like if Pulp Fiction or Shawshank or Lion King had won, like it would have already gone to. What a phenomenal year that was. I love Forrest Gump, all-time classic.
Yeah, and give a little sneak peek at a draft that we may have in the future.
Maybe.
1994 is a great year. All right, so I'm up. Yeah, my heart is shattered a lot. I got to regroup, but my number 4 on my draft board is still there. So, I mean, the numbers don't lie. I'm going to go for it. More modern one, thank God. I'm going No Country for Old Men. Just saw this this past year. This is the Coen brothers. They really love the more modern type Western movies. And this one, they just excel directorially. It's one of the most beautiful movies I've seen cinematography wise. The way they build tension is fantastic. Javier Bardem is one of the scariest people I've ever seen in my entire life. And the performances all overall are just fantastic. This one, I didn't even know won Best Picture until I was looking it up for my draft board. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that's on my draft board. Absolutely love it. It's like a modern classic, and I'm happy to take it off my board. I'll start with Sasha. What do you think about No Country for Old Men?
I think that's a great pick. I, again, haven't seen it, which is just disappointing. It's on my to watch list, but Javier Bardem, like, I think the only movie I've ever seen him in is Skyfall, but that like terrifies me to this day. So just maybe that's why I haven't watched it yet, because I'm too scared. But yeah, no, great pick.
If you think Javier Bardem is scary in Skyfall, buckle up.
He's worse. Okay.
Oh my God,
All
he's
right.
terrifying. Jaren, I'll throw it over to you. What do you think?
Yeah, so I haven't seen this movie either. It's at the top of my watch list. Surprisingly, I haven't seen it. I've been wanting to see it for forever, but I mean, this will be the third time it's been said, but Bardem is a freaky dude. I mean, there's no question about that. It looks like amazing, so I'm excited to check it out. I think that's a good pick.
Chris?
What's the most you've ever lost on a coin toss? That's like one of the best quotes from that movie.
Kills, man.
I actually did. The reason I really love this movie is I watched it originally and I didn't love it. And that's back, I was in like 9th grade though. And then I watched it my senior year of high school for like AP, what was that class called? AP Lit. And like I was supposed to read the book and I was like, nah, I'm just going to watch the movie. And I still did go on the project. But like I just watched it and I did like a deep dive into Anton Chigurh. It's one of the best performances ever. I mean, terrifying on screen. And I like the way that it's like that cat and mouse in the first half and it kind of maybe switches. I won't spoil anything because some people haven't seen it, but I think it's a perfect movie. Perfect movie.
Yes. Thank you, God.
Great pick.
Blessing me with that.
I think
Okay.
real quick, I think this poll is going to be tight no matter how the rest of this draft plays out. It's going to be the closest one yet.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's because people have so many different opinions on Best Picture and things like that. I mean, it's a lot easier for some of these other categories, but Best Picture, I mean, is always very, very controversial in some way, shape, or form. Okay, so I'm between a few. There's a few. I could continue to go modern, but I think I may be able to get that one later.
You're scaring me.
So I'm gonna.
Me too.
I'm gonna go with one that is a huge crowd pleaser.
Oh no!
Don't. For a long time.
Don't do it.
Was the highest grossing movie of all time.
Oh.
I gotta go. I'm sorry, Jaren. With Titanic. Now look, I enjoy the movie for what it is. I'm not pulling a Marriage Story because I do enjoy the movie. It's not my favorite movie, but I enjoy it. And just the pure spectacle of what they were able to accomplish is fascinating. I'm a big fan of behind the scenes, how movies are made, how you're able to pull off some of these shots. The Titanic flipping over and sinking into the ocean. How do you do it with miniatures, but you make it look real? Like what are we doing here, guys? Absolutely brilliant. It was the most. It was the biggest box office gross of all time for a reason. People kept going back to watch it because it was so good. You got a fantastic performance from Leonardo DiCaprio. I mean, putting a love story on the Titanic. I mean, what a great idea. And there was definitely room on that door for both of them, but that's an argument for another day.
Thank you.
But
there definitely was sickening.
Yeah, and his name was Jack. My name's Jack. It's destiny. I had to take Titanic. Jaren, a visceral reaction. I'm gonna go with you first. What do you think about me breaking your heart and taking Titanic?
I'm crushed into pieces. I love that movie. I saw it for the first time last year, and I was just like, I was so overwhelmed with the amount of joy I had because it's one of those that I held off for so long watching it because I thought it was going to be kind of boring, not my thing, but it totally was my thing. And still to this day, it's like one of the highest reviewed videos on my, or highest watched reviews on my channel. And I still love getting all these comments constantly about people getting mad about spoilers. Like the Titanic is history. But anyways, yeah, that was, you're going down the line, taking all my picks in order. Actually, that was my next pick. But that was a good one. What can I say? It was great.
Chris, what do you think about that one?
Great pick, but it's funny because I actually watched that for the first time last year as well. I know, Jaren, you said that. and I loved it too. I was putting it off for so long
Yeah.
because I was like, I don't know. I already knew what happened at the end, and I was like, no need to watch this movie. I watched it with my girlfriend, of course. Cam pushed me to watch it. Thank you, Cam, if you're watching. And I really dug it. I actually have it on Blu-ray now, and I'm a big fan. I think it's one of the few like epic movies that everyone just overwhelmingly loved going into the Oscars, much like Return to the King in a sense, where it was like the overwhelming awards darling. So yeah, great pick.
Sasha, what do you think?
So I'll be the sole Titanic hater. I was like weirdly like obsessed with the actual history of the Titanic when I was younger. And so seeing this movie thinking like, oh, this is gonna be a historical like representation of what happens. And I was like, why are we following this couple around this boat? And then like when they both could have fit on that door. That's what I'm gonna leave it with. They both could have fit. And that's where it loses me. Also, I'm not a fan of like James Cameron going back and like changing the stars so they were the exact same like constellation as they were at that time period in that hemisphere. Like, I don't really get that. Like him and George Lucas do that a little bit too much with their movies. But you know what? I think overall, I think for Twitter and the fact that it's got Leo in it, it's a great pick.
Yeah, Leo.
My man, Leo. So I think
king.
I absolutely killed that wraparound, which is great. Jaren, you are up. I'm sorry I took that from you, but this is what happens on this draft. We break hearts. We're heartbreakers over here. What are you going to take with your next pick?
Okay, so the first two were really ones that I felt like would do well with the crowd, but for once I'm going to pick one that I'm really passionate about myself. I'm staring at the poster right now. It's my favorite sports movie of all time. I'm going Rocky is my next pick.
That's a good pick.
There's not much that can be said except it's just amazing. Sylvester Stallone, absolutely great. I've seen so many movies, especially boxing movies, and none of them have been able to do what I feel like this one was able to do. It just captured my heart. It's probably one of my most rewatched movies of all time. I also hope that maybe it'll do well in the polls. I don't know, possibly. That's what I'm going with.
I think that's a great pick. And for the polls, I think it's a great pick because I think a lot of the general crowd of movies may not watch all of these Best Picture winners, but like Rocky's a sports movie that people get behind, and Sylvester Stallone. I think that's going to do really well in the polls. Sasha, visually just heartbroken. What are you thinking about that pick?
Rocky is also one of my like favorite movies. I think it's like just fantastic in this what it symbolizes in America. I just love that, and Sylvester Stallone becoming like his own myth of like how he wrote it and how he was like totally broke before. Rocky is a great movie. So that hurts me because I was kind of hoping that people would think, oh, if Rocky hasn't gone by now, they'll just leave it. But that's my naivety with this draft. But Jaren, that was a fantastic pick. That really hurt me.
Chris, what are you thinking?
That pick's going to help in the poll because that's one of the most relatable movies of all time, uplifting and inspirational. Anytime I watch it, I pretty much go run right after, and then I play Gonna Fly Now by Bill Conti in my earbuds and just take off like a lunatic up the street. So yeah, I love Rocky, and I'm excited for Creed 3. Like I love the franchise. So yeah, that's a great pick. I was eyeing that one. So very well done.
Thank you.
I watched him go run after. You know what? I'll give it to you. And Chris, you got the next pick. So what are you going to take?
Okay. I'm going to go with, this is hard. It's getting hard now. All right. You know what? I'm going to calm down, take a deep breath. I think this movie won the Big 5 Oscars, so I'm going to pick it. And also it's a phenomenal horror movie, Silence of the Lambs.
Oh
no.
Silence of the Lambs.
That was good.
Anthony Hopkins gives one of the best performances of all time. Jodie Foster as well. That movie's creepy, very eerie atmosphere. And it's a perfect movie. It's not my favorite movie of all time, but it's a perfect movie and one that I try to watch every few years. Very quotable as well. And just the eerie atmosphere. I don't know. It's like not a full on horror movie, but it's horrific, if that makes sense. So Signs of the Lambs, I think it's very, very well done movie.
So this one I haven't seen. So okay.
I'm sorry.
No
sorry.
country for old men. I mean, we could go back and forth.
Godfather, come on.
Yeah,
yeah. The Godfather. Come on.
I didn't expect to have that reaction. It just kind of came out.
It's okay. That's why we do these live and raw, so that we get the live reaction. I haven't seen it, so I can't give a lot of my own personal thoughts on it. I think from what I've heard, it's a fantastic movie. I think it's going to do great in the polls. Usually I like to switch up who I go to first, but Sasha again gave a very visual, stunning, just absolutely stunned reaction. So I'm going to start with you first again, Sasha. What do you think about that?
Listen, Jack, boys, I am down bad right now. Like, I am down bad in this draft. I love Silence of the Lambs. Watched it for the first time last year because my parents had told me for years, like, this movie messed me up when I saw it in theaters. Like, so I was like, okay, I need to watch this in daylight with friends. Like, I watched it, absolutely fell in love with it. Jodie Foster, Anthony Hopkins, fantastic performances, fantastic script. Just everything about this movie, I absolutely love it. And like you guys were saying, it's got the horror feels, but not to the point where it's like I'm not a horror fan, so it's more thriller and psychological and just I'm just really hurting and I don't know what I'm going to do next. So that's where I'm at right now.
Well, hopefully you're not down too bad because you do have the wraparound. But I'm going to go to Jaren, ask his thought. So I'll give you a little bit of time to think, Sasha. So you're all good. Jaren, what do you think about Silence of the Lambs going right here?
I love the Silence of the Lambs. I mean, I saw this movie when I was 5 years old for the first time. It scarred me. I watched a lot of these like really creepy movies for the first time when I was five, like Child's Play and this. But it's definitely creepy. It's got that eerie feel, but it's also like an intimate character study. And I think Jodie Foster's character is very well written, and all the way around, it's great. I mean, Anthony Hopkins. He hasn't had a better performance since. I wouldn't say until this year, maybe with The Father, but overall, and Buffalo Bill, that character to me, it scared me more than Anthony Hopkins. Just everything about that, it's so good. That was a great pick. It was definitely on my list, so good job for picking that one.
It's a great pick, man. You're having a good draft as always. Sasha,
Okay.
I know you got to figure it out, but you're up.
This is where I made rules for how I was going to play this, but sometimes when you're down in the third quarter, you gotta pick yourself back up somehow. So what I'm going to take is a movie I have not seen. It is on my list, but I think it's pretty iconic. So I'm going to take Gladiator, and I'm going to take that just because I'm paying attention to how the polls do and what kind of movies seem to do well. And I feel like Gladiator with Joaquin Phoenix and then Russell Crowe, right? He plays the main guy. And I just watched a clip from this the other day. The part where he's saying like, of father to dead children, husband to a dead wife. And I was like, okay, I'm compelled and I haven't even seen the whole movie. So even though I wasn't going to do this initially and take a movie I hadn't seen, I've got to just, I feel like, to catch up.
Rules are made to be broken. I think
Absolutely.
That is a great pick. Chris, I know you quote this one a lot as well. I will ask you first. What do you think about Gladiator going right here?
It was Gladiator. It was between Gladiator or Silence of the Lambs for my last pick. Heartbreaking, but it's okay. It's okay. That is such an epic of a movie. I adore that, and it's one that I don't talk about as much as I should. But it's fantastic in every sense of the word. And I think Russell Crowe won like back-to-back actor too. He won the acting award for that, and then he won for A Beautiful Mind. So such a great movie. And Joaquin, great. He didn't win, but great.
I don't think you have a lot of room to talk there about being heartbroken. What goes around comes around, man. I mean, you broke her heart, she's gonna break yours. That's what we're doing.
I'm a Georgia football fan, man. I'm used to it.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard for us, Chris.
Yeah.
We're all heartbreakers over here. Like I said earlier, that's what we do. That is the name of the game. Jaren, what do you think about Gladiator going here?
I've also never seen this movie, but I know it's iconic. So
Gladiator, really?
Yeah, I've never seen. Oh, okay. I see what you did there. Ha ha. Okay. All right. Yeah, I know it's gonna do you well. It's gonna do you very well. I think I clicked this on one time when I saw it on cable. And sadly, I saw like the last 20 minutes of it. Like it was the ending that I saw. I turned it off as quick as I could, but it's definitely one I want to check out. Like I said, yeah, that's a great pick for sure.
Yep, I think great picks all around. Sasha, you got the wrap around. What do you got?
Okay. So I want to go. What year did Gladiator came out? I'm sounding so uneducated
2000.
right now. Okay. So semi-recent, but I want to go a little bit more recent than that, just because I feel like you guys made a good point earlier with that doing well on Twitter. And so I think I'm going to go with one of my favorite movies in recent memory, which is Spotlight. I think, I don't know, I wasn't like paying too much attention to the Oscars back in 2015, 2016 when this was coming out, but I think this movie just was one of the first times I was like, wow, these characters are all so well written. The story is well formed. And obviously, that's partly being based on real life. I think the tension they were able to create within the film that like a real news team would feel like working through it. And I feel like it's a little bit of an underdog movie where people may not have seen it, but if they have, I feel like a lot of people have a pretty positive reaction to it. So that's what I'm gonna go with.
God, we love a good journalism movie. I mean, I adore movies about journalism. People watch. If you don't know, I got my degree in journalism, so I love a good journalism movie. And this film, this is a very weird combination I'm about to say, but this film and Nightcrawler are the two most accurately portrayed films of how journalism actually is. But I love that pick. I think this story is just so moving and just floored me. I had a stomachache watching this movie, and I kind of already knew what it was about. It's just absolutely heartbreaking, and like you said, very well written characters. The performance, all-star cast. The performances are absolutely fantastic. It's just a great movie. Chris, I'll start with you. What do you think about Spotlight?
Watched it for the first time last year on 100 Movies. It's like one of those movies that like fundamentally is just good across the board. There's like, it's not like one of my favorite movies or one I even will rewatch, but there's not much to nitpick about it. The performances are amazing. It's so well written. It's well directed. And it has this pacing to it as well when it comes to just the journalism vibes. Like the way Mark Ruffalo's character like scarfing down food. It's like, it makes you feel like they're always on the go, and it uncovers an atrocity that I didn't know that much about, actually, truthfully. So it was a very insightful movie for me. Very well done. I think it deserved Best Picture. I think that's a really good pick.
That's actually true too. We're also taught to eat. You gotta eat. If you don't eat, you're gonna get sick. The story's not that important. Jaren, you're up as well. What do you think? No, you're not up. Sorry, you're up to give your thoughts. What do you think about this pick? I'm sorry.
I saw it a couple of years after it won, and I thought like all the way around it was very masterfully made. I will say it just didn't like intrigue me and engage me the way I hoped it would. And I think that I'll be curious to see how it does in the polls, just because I know this is one in recent memory that I didn't hear much about. It really seemed to fly under the radar, and I'm curious to see how many people are gonna like either have seen the movie or are a fan of it. So it's an interesting pick for sure. But yeah, we'll see.
I think it's a great pick overall. I think SASHA has a sneaky good draft right now. I'm looking at the draft board, and that is very looking to be like a really good team so far. Oh, Chris, you're up. What are you gonna do? Break some more hearts. What are you gonna take?
It's about to break my heart. I can feel it.
This is a tough one. I'm between about 4 movies right now, 5 actually, but you got to pick one. So I'm gonna do something maybe a little risky. I don't know if anyone here has even seen the movie, but it also won the Big Five Oscars, and it's got one of the best performances I've ever seen. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest with Jack Nicholson. I think that's a masterpiece of a movie. I think that anyone who's seen it will agree. Nicholson crushes it, and it's just triumphant in the end, but also tragic. I won't spoil it, of course. But just seeing Jack Nicholson's character lose his mind over the course of this movie it entrances you somehow. And the Nurse Ratched is just a terrible person. If you've seen the movie, but also just a great performance all around. I love this movie. I think it's perfect. It's one of the few to actually win the Big Five Oscars. So I had to take it. It could come back to bite me because it's an older movie on the Twitter poll, but honestly, it'll be all right.
I like that pick. I think we all are doing. We have a nice. We have some old. We have some new. And I think that's a really good pick to not round up because your draft's not over yet, but to really make a nice solid draft. Sasha, I'll start with you. What do you think about that pick?
I think this is a great pick. I think Jack Nicholson is a fantastic actor. And I think, Chris, you may actually be better, even though this is a little bit of an older pick, because of that whole Ratched show that Ryan Murphy did on Netflix with Sarah Paulson. So I feel like, which I didn't even know that I'd never seen.
I didn't even know that existed.
So I think that's where the Nurse Ratched comes from, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and it doesn't do justice to the story at all, by the way.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate then. But at least it will be name recognition maybe for you, Chris. But I think I can't speak to the greatness of the movie, but I think just Nicholson alone is fantastic to have on your board.
Absolutely. And Jaren, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that's a really good pick. I have seen it like sort of pick up steam recently. I've seen more mentions of it. It could be because of that show, like she mentioned, but hot take, I think Nicholson gives a better performance in this movie than The Shining. Maybe that's really, really
100% agree.
yeah. It's amazing. I mean, he's just so good at playing a person who goes insane. I don't. That's just what he was born to do, apparently, because he does a great job. But amazing pick. It was on my draft board too. I think that'll do you really well.
Yeah, I think that's a great pick. I think Chris's draft is always looking sneaky, sneaky good. Jaren, you are up. What are you taking?
Okay, I'm gonna go. I'm not even sure. I forgot what year this won. This is another one I saw last year for the first time. Braveheart with Mel Gibson. This movie broke me. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. The epic tale of William Wallace. What can you say about this movie except it's a bona fide classic? I'm obsessed with this movie. I hope it does me well in the polls too.
It will do you very well, I would say.
hope
That's that's on par with like Gladiator for me. They're such similar Best Picture winners. So I was gonna try and snag one of those. I didn't, but Braveheart has that the most iconic speech, one of them of all time, I'd say easily. What a movie! What a just a classic. Great
So
pick.
good.
I gotta find another one.
Jack, can you give your thoughts?
Yeah, now I gotta find another pick.
Was that like I looked away for a second and I just saw him. I was like, is he fixing something, or was there a little bit of a rage there? Because
No,
I didn't see it.
I had the last two on my draft board. We got the last two picks, and that was one of them. So I gotta find another
Okay.
one. So cool, thank you.
So we have the documentation of the rage.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry, but you're welcome.
that's the first time I've really gone off the rails because in this series, because I felt really good about my last two, and it's a great pick. Obviously, I'm visually upset about it because it's a great pick. I mean, just absolute classic. So, Sasha, what do you think about that pick?
I think honestly this is the one that I'm most surprised went as far back as it did, just because I know Chris quotes it on his channel quite a bit.
Yeah, I was
So
surprised
I
too.
really thought Chris was gonna snag this. Like I had a couple, I'll be honest, I was like going through you guys' videos trying to figure out what we were gonna pick, and I was like, Braveheart for Chris, 100%, like 100%. So Jaren, for you to steal this, fantastic move. Like
I'm
well
just as
played.
surprised as you.
If you win the poll, I am like, I feel like this might be the reason. Like you've got a great team overall, but this one, just snagging it from anyone else is great.
Can we just give credit real quick where credit is due to Sasha? She's doing research, looking up our channels. She's got stuff written down on a notepad over there. Like
that's commitment.
It's
got
like
the whole.
It's like this is the NFL draft, and she's like a GM, like really getting into
Last
this.
year, I'm Jerry Jonesing it, guys. I'm a Cowboys fan. It hurts me sometimes, but I'm a Cowboys fan, so I'm trying to Jerry Jones this. Have everything across the board that I've got.
I'm so sorry for you,
but I know
that's really sad.
It's a sad life, but you do what you can.
That's just absolutely incredible. Oh my god. Okay, so I'm up now. Little thrown for a loop.
Are you confident about this pick?
I think I know what I'm going to do. Well, okay,
I think I know what he's going to pick, but we'll talk about that after.
my next one because it was what I was going to take originally. My last pick is the one that I really need to figure out now. So, yeah, okay, here's what we're going to do. So this is the one I said earlier I was confident was going to drop to me at the end, and it did. I'm very happy it did because I think this film is very underrated. Well, actually, I don't know. I'll see what your guys' thoughts are on it as well. But I haven't heard a lot of people talk about it. This is one where I'm definitely going with my heart. I'm not entirely trying to pander to the Twitter poll, but it is a more recent movie, so I think it may help a little bit. But that is The Hurt Locker.
Love.
One of, I would argue, and war movies are like my genre. Besides superhero movies, I'm a war movie junkie. I love it, and I would go out and say this is probably one of the best, most raw, most gritty war movies of all time, at least modern war, the portrayal of modern warfare. You've got a brilliant performance from Jeremy Renner. He is scary just with how much he just doesn't care about life. I mean, that's really what this goes about. It's about, him with PTSD and his mental health. And, while on the outside it's a war movie, it's a really interesting character study about mental health and PTSD and things like that. And I think that's absolutely fantastic. Catherine Bigelow's direction is just the definition of a chef's kiss. And maybe it's just because I have a soft spot for war movies and I love that genre so much, but I genuinely think it is a highly underrated, one of the great war movies, and I gotta take it with my fourth pick. So I'll start with you, Sasha, because I think we're on the same boat here. What do you think about that pick?
This is a fantastic pick. It was gonna be my last pick if it fell to me, I think, just to go with the heart. But I am so excited that it gets the recognition that it gets. I mean, first of all, just the pure amazingness that Catherine Bigelow beats out James Cameron this year, her ex-husband. And then they were able to like settle that amongst themselves. Great. Jeremy Renner, Anthony Mackie's performance in this film is fantastic as well. I heard someone say like, "Oh, Mackie's not that great in Falcon Winter Soldier." I was like, "Sir, you need to go listen or go watch Hurt Locker because you will completely disagree with yourself after that." This film is great. I totally agree. Like, I think it is simultaneously a great war film because it puts you in that like Humvee with them, but at the same time, like it's that character study of coming home and real life not being like good enough for you anymore once you've lived on that edge. And I think like fantastic movie, so even better pick, honestly.
Awesome. And Chris, what do you think? What do you think about that pick?
I've seen The Hurt Locker twice. I think it's a very good war movie. It's not one of my favorite war movies. Very good. The thing is, like, honestly, I don't think it should have won Best Picture that year. I'm looking at right now on Wikipedia. I would have taken Inglourious Bastards or Up over it, but it's still,
for real.
But it's still like a good movie. I know a lot of people, like Jeremy Johns and a bunch of others, are like, "Why did The Hurt Locker win?" La la. Like a lot of people campaign for Avatar, which I disagree with, but I still think The Hurt Locker as a pick, very solid war movie. I think that I don't know how Twitter will receive it, but I think that it's a very good movie, if that makes sense. Like, have you guys heard any Twitter talk of The Hurt Locker?
They're gonna receive it how I want them to receive it. I know, and that's this pick was really it was a pick from the heart. I didn't want all my picks to be pander picks, and I legitimately do love this film. So I had to take this because I knew it would fall because I didn't think anyone else was really thinking about it. So I had to take this pick because I just love the movie so much. So I don't that might kill me in the poll a little bit, but I was willing to kill myself in the poll to take this pick. Jaren, what do you think about this pick?
I really like this movie. Again, it's not one of my favorites either, but I mean, you look at the cast, you've got Wasp, you've got Killian, you've got Falcon and Hawkeye, which after seeing this movie, I thought like Jeremy Renner was going to kill it as Hawkeye. Sadly, he turned into one of the worst characters in the MCU, but this movie's good. It's fine. I don't know how it's going to do in the polls, but it's a good pick.
First of all, shots fired at Hawkeye.
Shots
fired.
Gonna say, whoa.
Am I the only one that thinks that? I don't think he's that great.
I mean, I think that he's
fave.
After Endgame. I actually like. He's not my favorite, but he's like a lot better. Like there was a weak point for Hawkeye. It was like Avengers 2012, but I think they're starting to turn it around. But I know a lot of people who don't like Hawkeye, including Cam.
Well, that's a conversation we can get in.
Yeah.
in a very different forum, because I get to round out my draft right now, and I am in absolute shambles. Like Sasha said earlier, I am down bad right now. Shoot, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Okay, I'm gonna stay more recent. I think I have to because I can't really make a strong argument about any others, at least from my perspective. I mean, there are others that are really good, but I can't make an argument like I can for Birdman. I gotta go Birdman. I think this was the one shot movie before 1917 that actually did it well. The cast is stacked. I think it's a very interesting film that is so much up to interpretation. A lot. The ending, I had to look up different articles about what the heck just happened, but in the best way though, because I just didn't know what was happening, and that may kill me in the polls a little bit because it is kind of confusing at times. But I don't know, just the experience watching this film for the first time was just amazing to me. I mean, I don't really know how to describe it. Going from comic book movie hero to wanting to make a stage play, that's very interesting. And the whole voice inside the head kind of dilemma was also very interesting. So I'm not, I'm down bad. So this is another good one, and I'm going to take Birdman, but I don't know how confident I feel about that, though. So I hope the top half of my draft does me better than my bottom half. We'll start with Jaren. What do you think about that pick to round out my draft?
Okay, so this is odd because I think this is a great pick. I think this is going to do you very well on Twitter, especially because when you think of a film Twitter movie, Birdman is high up there. For me personally, I absolutely despise the movie. I hate the movie. I watched it for the first time last year and I was totally like repulsed by it's one of the few movies where I was so repulsed by every single character. I like how it's made and all that stuff, but there's just nothing I could get behind. But that being said, I can't deny that it's masterful in the way it's made, the one take, how that was simulated. Yeah, it's gonna do you very, very well. I will say that.
Well, thank you. That makes me feel a lot better about the pick. Chris, what do you think?
I really like Birdman. I watched it for the first time last year. The one take I think is a lot more effective than 1917, like you kind of mentioned. It enhances the story a little more, in my opinion. But yeah, I mean, Michael Keaton, probably his best performance ever. The directing is great all around. It's just a very, very well made movie. I don't think it should have won Best Picture at all that year.
Mm-mm.
Whiplash,
Mhm.
theft, but it is what it is.
Sasha, what do you think?
I think this is a great pick, and I honestly think you have a better draft than I think you do, Jack. Like I think Godfather and Titanic and all that, like that's gonna help you out a lot. Haven't seen Birdman, but I am a Keaton fan for sure, and I like. Is this supposed to sort of play off the fact that he was Batman because he's like a superhero in the movie, right?
In a sense,
like his
I agree with that
career.
one.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
kinda.
because I just like that like paratext of Keaton's career versus like the guy in the movie. Don't know much, but Keaton and Emma Stone, it's enough to be on my to watch list, and you know, got to get to it at some point. But great pick.
So I think this is a sidebar real quick because I've heard this phrase said so many times tonight. I think we're gonna have to start a podcast that is called "I watched that for the first time last year," where we all sit down and we talk about movies that we watched for the first time the year before. I think that's a great idea for a podcast. But
That's a
just
phenomenal idea.
That's just
The 100 Movies Project was a big thing last year.
it was, and I absolutely loved it. I'm still trying to do it, but I just haven't watched a lot of movies.
Me too. I'm late to it. I'm trying to catch up.
I mean, Chris.
I'm taking the year off that thing.
Chris, I mean,
that was a gauntlet.
I mean, Chris is the godfather of that series. So, yeah. But Jaren, you're up. Round out your draft. Your final pick. What are you taking?
My final pick. This is rough. Okay. I'm trying to choose between 4 here.
Trying to choose between 4. I could barely come up with one.
Yeah, so you told me, I think we had a conversation before. You're like, I usually do like my top 10 or whatever. I ended up putting down like 20.
Oh, good for you. I only put down 10 and they're all gone.
Okay. I'm just gonna go with it. I don't know how well this is gonna do for me. I'm gonna go with Rain Man. I think this is a really good movie. It's not like my favorite Tom Cruise movie or anything like that. I think it is my favorite Dustin Hoffman performance. It's absolutely hilarious, while also saddening in a lot of ways. It's both like comedic and very dramatic. Very, very well acted, well written. I think this is directed by Barry Levinson, the father of Sam Levinson, who made Malcolm and Marie, another movie I love. But yeah, I think this could do me some good. It's hard to tell. I'm really just kind of throwing it out there. I'm not really sure.
I haven't seen the movie. It's on the top of my list. It's actually one I've been wanting to see for quite a while. I think you'll get some points for maybe Tom Cruise. I mean, I know a lot of people like Tom Cruise in his movies. But yeah, I haven't seen it, so I don't really have a lot of perspective. I'll go to Sasha first. What do you think about this pick?
Yeah, I would agree. I haven't seen it either. I honestly haven't heard of it. This was not one of the ones I wrote down. I kind of did the same thing where I wrote down about like 30, but I totally missed this one. If Tom Cruise is in it and it's the father of Sam Levinson, who Euphoria is one of my favorite shows. That's like, he is fantastic in his writing and direction of that. So, and I have yet to see Malcolm and Marie, but talented family. So probably a great pick.
Chris, what do you think?
Rain Man's a really, really good movie. Like Dustin Hoffman's performance is awesome. This movie, I don't know how many people talk about it. I don't know why. I think that it's like people rank it among the lowest of the best picture winners, and I disagree with that. I think it's a classic. Like my parents always talk about like Rain Man. There's like a bunch of great quotes and bits from that movie. It's surprisingly pretty funny with a lot of heart. It's a very well done drama that won a pretty good bit of Oscars, I want to say. So yeah, I think it's a solid pick.
I think overall, I mean, that is a great draft from Jaren. Chris, you are up. Final pick of the night for you. What are you taking?
I think I'm gonna go with La La Land. Wait, there's been a mistake. Moonlight. Moonlight has won Best Picture. I'm sorry. I'm taking Moonlight.
That's gonna
taking
do you
Moonlight.
well.
And I actually
Okay.
like Moonlight. It's not like a marriage story. I like Moonlight. I think that it's a very good movie. 4 out of 5 stars. It hurt me saying that out loud. Like I have like, you know, that feeling when you watch like something tragic happen in a movie or sporting event. Like I wanted La La Land to win because it's one of my favorite movies ever. I think like everyone in here agrees La La Land's up there. But
Yeah.
but Moonlight as a story, it's one of the better coming of age movies of the past decade. I love the way that it's broken into 3 different phases of his life. Mahershala Ali's in the movie for like 20 minutes and he won the Oscar. That says something right there, just to the level of how great that man is as an actor. It's just like one of those great coming of age movies that I put off for so long, and I ended up really just connecting with the story of growing up. And I just think it touches on like the African American experience and all of that jazz very well. So awesome movie.
I will not forget that joke, Chris. I will not forget that joke. So just be aware. I will not forget that joke. But I credit where credit's due. I think Moonlight is a very solid film. Like you said, Mahershala Ali. He's only in it for like 20 minutes and wins the Oscar. I mean, that's got to be it's pretty masterful if you're doing that. But yeah, I mean, as much as I'm a La La Land stan until the day that I die, I think great pick. If a movie's gonna beat La La Land, it's got to be pretty good. So I like that pick. Another good draft from Chris, and Sasha is closing it out. Last pick in the draft. What are you going to take?
Okay. Well, we've come a long way. We have been down bad. We've started good. We're not doing so hot. I think what I'm going to have to take is to round out my draft. It's going to have to be a movie I like that I've seen that I think is one that I'm new to film Twitter, so I don't know maybe if it gets talked about, but I'm going to take Argo from 2013. I think this is my favorite Ben Affleck performance. I think this movie is fantastic. Again, like same with like the Hurt Locker, both the psychological aspect, but also being based on real life, which I guess I've got both with Spotlight and Argo now. But I think the direction of that movie is fantastic, and it's a really, really beautiful film also, and like a non-traditional like La La Land is beautiful in its own kind of sense, but like Argo's got this sense to it that I really, really love. So I'm gonna finish out with Argo.
I think that's a great pick. I think that was one of the ones I was going back and forth with when I was trying to figure out what the heck I was going to do with my last pick. That's a great pick. I agree with everything you said about that. Jaren, I'll start with you. What do you think about that pick rounding out the draft?
I've never seen the movie, but I think it'll do well. I mean, a Ben Affleck directed and starred movie that won Best Picture. That's great. For some reason, I feel like this one's always compared with The Town. Did he direct The Town too? Did he? Yeah. Okay. That's why. I have seen that one. I don't know necessarily the popularity. I feel like film Twitter, there's like this odd section of film Twitter that does talk about it often. I feel like I have seen it. So that could do you pretty well.
And Chris, what do you think?
Argo's slept on. Argo's really good. It's been like, I saw it in like 2014, so it's been a long time. But I remember laughing at like the Argo bit. You know what I'm talking about if you've seen the movie. It's like Argo F yourself. They say that all the time in that movie. It's great. But Ben Affleck, yeah, I don't think it's my favorite performance. I think that's probably the way back, but he still crushes it. And he really shows off as a director here. He's like one of the better directors working, I'd say. And I want to see him do more in the director's chair. But yeah, Argo it's very intense too at the end. I forget, like I'm gonna have to give that one a rewatch soon. It's very, very well done movie.
Absolutely great. And rounding out another great draft. So I'm going to read them back for everyone if you're watching. So I went first. I had The Godfather Part 2, No Country for Old Men, Titanic, The Hurt Locker, and Birdman. Jaren went number 2. He had Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, Forrest Gump, Rocky, Braveheart, and Rain Man. Chris going number 3 had Parasite, The Departed, Silence of the Lambs, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and Moonlight. And Sasha goes 4 with Casablanca, The Godfather, Gladiator, Spotlight, and Argo. It's tough. It's tough. I mean, these are some stacked teams, even in rounds 4 and 5. I mean, hey, we're picking Best Picture winners, so they're all going to be good in their own right. But the first thing I want to say before we finish this out, Sasha is brand new to Twitter, so Film Twitter, go over and follow her, check out her stuff, and get her more followers because, you know, us Film Twitter We work community and we like to welcome people in. So go over and follow
Thank
her.
you,
Her link will be
guys.
down below in the description. All of these people's links will be down below in the description. I want to thank Sasha and Jaren for coming on. Fantastic drafts from both of you. And we will have you guys back on soon enough. So thank you guys for coming.
Thank you
Thank
so much
you.
for having us.
And of course, Chris, my man, thank you for coming on once again. The best co-host in the business. I appreciate you.
it. Yeah, we said that at the same time. That was cool.
See, that is our friendship right there.
That's co-hosts.
It
That's
is.
co-host for you.
I'm gonna be honest before we end this thing. This is gonna be the week I get taken down. I think I'm not winning it this week. I'd be voting for Jaren's personally, but you guys go to Twitter and decide who wins.
Yeah, and
tight.
that's the point I'm going to make right at the end. If you're watching this right now, as you're watching this, the poll is up. The graphic is up. The tweet under the graphic is the poll. It'll be up for 3 days. It will end on Friday. Whoever wins the poll wins the draft. Will Chris stay undefeated? Will a newcomer take it away, or will I quench my drought of 0-2? But that's just what happens when you're on every episode. So, but yeah, go over to the poll. Go check it out. Go vote. Go quote retweet it. Go retweet it. Go get it out there. We want to continue to make this series grow. Make it a big thing. We want people on. I want to try to get, some of the Sean Chandlers and the Austin Burks, some of those bigger names on here as well. Not to say that you guys are not big names. You're all big names in my heart, and I love all of you equally. But you all know what I'm saying. We want to make this big for everyone. So make sure you go share with the world, go retweet, go quote retweet, all of that jazz and all of that fun stuff. And I want to thank you all for watching. I want to thank my amazing guests and co-hosts once again for coming on. Go to all of their links down below. Go subscribe, follow, tweet, retweet, Instagram story, all of that good stuff for all of them. They are fantastic. But guys, that is pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you in next week's draft.